to the fourth episode of Digital Yours, a series by etbrandequity.com, where we'll be engaging with the key stakeholders in the digital marketing sector in this country and better understand where the spends are really headed. This series is also brings into perspective the brand custodians and how they are planning their mega initiatives around the digital medium. The current season is themed as Playbook for Customer Retention and is brought to you in partnership with CleverTech. As the world today joins forces and joins hands in fighting the current COVID-19 crisis, businesses are actually concerned with customer optimism. The two foundations of customer loyalty, that is trust and confidence, are being put to massive test. However, as they say that with every crisis, there is a window of opportunity. This global crisis has truly provided an opportunity about customer moments that matter. By putting the customers first and the customer interest first, businesses can really lead and win. In our fourth episode today, we will try and understand what works in the real world scenario and what can really become the actual playbook for marketers around the world. Today, we are honored to be joined by a set of professionals who have been championing the cause of customer retention for their respective brands and businesses. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Himanshu Gautam, Head of Digital Business at Amar Ujala, Ms. Soni Kumari, Director at Games and Technologies, Ms. Damini Pawa, CEO and co-founder at Absolute Coders LLP, Ms. Vaishnavi, Managing Director at Big Code Games, Mr. Robbie John, CEO at Super Gaming, and Mr. Jasmeet Singh Gandhi, Head of Global Business Development at CleverTech. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for taking out time and joining us and helping us deep dive into the subject of customer retention and customer lifetime value. Thank you so much. So before we start, and go deep into understanding the nuances of this subject, I would really like to come to all my panelists today, right, and open up and understand basically what customer lifetime value and the landscape of CLV matter in this in their respective businesses and respective sectors, right? So I'll start with Himanshu first. Himanshu, Amar Ujala, is a established publisher, right? And you have been here over the years. So how have you seen the importance of customer lifetime value change in your business life cycle throughout the years, and now being, it's a digital first and digital heavy publishing business, right? So your thoughts on that?
So we at Amar Ujala, we are almost a 7-decade-old brand. We started 18th April 1948, and that's how we have been doing news. So even today also, like a couple of years back, we started our Karnal edition, and it was a huge investment that we made into our business by installing the huge printing press, setting up offices, and there are thousands of people who work with us on ground and all. So whenever we make any investments, so those investments are made keeping, maybe a decade, 2 decades, or 3 decades, in the foresight. So that's how we determine the lifetime value for our business, because once a print subscriber subscribes your newspaper, so he remains your readers for years and years. So I'm born and brought up in Mathura, which was one of the strongholds for Amar Ujala, and I actually grew up reading this newspaper. So it was a hot favorite in my house. So my grandfather used to use the same newspaper. My father used to read the same newspaper, and I also used to read the same newspaper. So that tells you a little story about the whole customer lifetime value here. So that's how the things happen on the traditional side. But when it comes to the digital side, definitely things have become very, very interesting now. So you talk about any other industry, actually it gives you a complete clear view of designing a business model. I think that's the customer lifetime value is the most important metric there. Which can help you to understand whether you need to go inorganic or you need to go organic. So we talk about e-commerce companies, we talk about edutech companies. So we also have edutech business of ours that's named Safalta. So obviously in those businesses, we look at huge inorganic growth, because that's the visibility that we are able to see. And we know the LTV is pretty high into those businesses. So we know that we have time constraints, so we have to move very, very fast. We can't have the organic approach into those businesses. Whereas when it it comes to news, obviously we know it's a long term kind of a game, and you really can't go very inorganic there. So because of the low LTV kind of a situation, that's a challenge that we face there in those terms. So we have to be really organic there. So we have to keep on working on the basic things, the whole UI UX thing, the quality of news, constantly keep on enriching lives of our readers so that they find real value while they come back to us every time. So those are like very basic things, as basic as that, like why do Indians prefer Haldiram, or why do Indians prefer McDonald's? So you have to keep on working on those core aspects of the business regularly, constantly, day on day, and you really need to bring those users back. So I can give you some numbers. Like while I started at Amarujala, like we used to be around 5 million monthly visitors, and to my last count, last month we were around like in range of 70 millions. So it has been quite a journey, and I'm very sure those 5 million customers are also there with us today. But we have added another 65 million customers also today. So it's a huge volume game, and we are a vernacular publisher. So we definitely, our business is much more challenging. Our ECPMs work in very different way. So our lifetime value mostly because we haven't like fully moved onto subscription thing, like just the newspaper is there. So a newspaper, particularly in the physical world, they have got two business lines. Obviously, they get subscription revenue also, and they get advertising revenue also. Whereas for the online players like us, mostly it's like tilted in the favor of advertising revenue. So when it comes to advertising revenue for vernacular publishers like us, it's a challenging game. So English players are a little privileged over there. They are perceived a little on a premium into the market when it comes with media agencies and brands, whereas it is not the same case with the Hindi publishers. So definitely, we are also thinking to move on to reader revenue line, and we are focusing on this metrics. And a couple of years back, we were the first Hindi publisher in the country to put a e-newspaper behind the paywall. And from there on, our journey has started. So today we already have thousands of paying customers. So that's a new line that has started, and every company is actually thinking into this direction. So it's a very important metric. So yeah.
Sure, that's interesting input, Sanjay, because coming from a established news organization, right? And I mean, people think that once the company is established, customer retention doesn't really matter because you will anyways have a big following. But it's actually very imperative to to hold on to that following, right? And that's
Right.
probably a much tougher job.
Right.
On that, Himanshu, and taking a cue from your inputs about gaming and how we have seen gaming emerge as a lifeline or a lifeline support system during the pandemic induced lockdowns. I would really want to come to Sony and understand, right? Fusion Technologies is the brand, is the name behind the big brand called Ludo King, right? And we have all seen how people have been attached to Ludo King during the lockdowns. So my specific question to you is like, have you seen the your CLV exercises or your CLV strategies change due to the customer demands, especially that emerged during the lockdown or after the lockdown?
Ludo King has got really a great value during even pandemic because everybody was sitting at home, and it is a social game which connects people, family. So yes, I would say that before pandemic, our DAU was like 15 million users, and at the peak time of pandemic, we reached 51 million. Which was like quite a high number. And even today, like yes, we have reached to somewhere around 25-30 million DAUs, which is as on today. So one of the major trends in gaming space we have seen is people want to explore the game that have better social connect features, where they can compete with their friends, with their family, and they don't just want to play with computer AI right now. They want to play with real world players, with their own friends in their own social networks. So they are all looking for a natural gaming experience. So as a player, you experience entertainment, and you also catch up with your family and friends. So we introduced textual chat, we introduced online chat, and even we introduced voice chat, which has really, increased the number of DAUs that we see today. So one of the factors is to serve the need of the users. You can make the users download the game, maybe make them play for a while, but in the long run, listening to the players, the needs of the players, that is the key to the longevity of the game. So players, people try to make games that are graphic intensive, maybe that use NFT and everything that is technologically, next in, but until it serves the users first, failure is inevitable. So solving this problem does not always need the latest technology, but technical innovation can be made to better understand the users. We pay a lot of attention to how the users are behaving in our game, how they are reacting to the changes we have introduced, and to what features they are asking, to us to add in the game. We have to be very proactive in that regard. Uh, of course, not every time a player knows what they want, and for that we have a roadmap of features that we constantly keep adding to the game from time to time. Our technical advancements within the studio includes using analytics. That is our backbone of all decision making. We are also using marketing intelligence tools like App Annie and others to gain the latest what is there in the market trend. We also keep on creating our own unified tools and modules that we can use across our all games. Uh, when it comes to Ludo King, this is a game which is played by masses, and that includes heavy mobile users to someone who just plays Ludo King. So, to retain our players, to have the CLB maintained, the main thing that we take care of is the simplicity. So simplicity in the design ensures that we reach our wide range of audience. You see, uh, this might seem like a simple task, but to create something simple is a very difficult process that we have seen in all these years. So you see, Ludo King has been in top charts in whether it is on Google Play Store or iOS Store since 2017, and we have seen a lot of competition. You guys, you know how Ludo has itself, it has become one own genre of game where there are a lot of competition, lot of new players are coming in every day, and it has been a difficult thing to still stay on the top. So yes, we are constantly in discussions with different teams, and we scrutinize our design before it gets to in for implementation. So our approach is to create a robust system that is time proof and can be relevant to all our players, because our players are from tier 1 to tier 3. They are from everywhere, everybody plays this game. So we really have to be very cautious when we even send one feature in the game. So during pandemic, we even came out with a mask mode, feature in the game where players have to wear mask while playing. So this was just to add, some value, to send some disciplinary message to the players. So we give a lot of importance to the user experience. At times we might, skip a feature or may not take a business route if we feel that the quality of our user experience may get degraded. So this approach has ensured our success so far. So yes, we value our players and we work hard to provide them with a great user experience. Thank you.
Great. Great input actually, because you actually mentioned about social gaming that really helped you get ahead of the competition, and as you rightly mentioned, you search for Ludo games and then there are a plethora of games, so it's important to differentiate.
Ludo King has added a lot of new gamers, into this gaming world, I would say, because there has been a lot of uh, uh, players like who have played Ludo King as their first game. So that has been there, yes.
Right. So, I'll move on to Vaishnavi, right? And Vaishnavi, what are the dynamics in your, so, we're talking about gaming here, and, we have heard from Sony how social gaming and, maybe probably some, to some instance, differentiating from the competition, is really important to guarantee that customer retention for your product. What's your take on this for big code games? What are the pointers that really matter when it comes to customer lifetime value and customer retention?
So talking about CLV, I think this is one of the most important thing in every business. Be it any kind of business, the first rule when it comes to lifetime value, it is the content. We always talk about content. What content are we showcasing to the users? So that is one thing. If we deliver like quality product and provide good services, then I think it's like winning a half battle. And then if we talk about how do we have this lifetime value, how do we have user engaged, or we see we have important things. And if we talk about gaming, then I think retention and re-engagement strategies is one which we look at. For that we use a lot of analytics, to measure what is the session time or what is the play time user is performing. And that's how we keep on improvising the content, the game features, or giving, we have a lot of things like we have beta release and we have pre-registrations. So that's how we keep on building. It's not like we have released the game and it's over. It's not, it doesn't work like that. uh, to to maintain the user for a longer period, we need to perform few steps, like releasing it into the beta and testing it without any bugs. We should be able to provide that content to the user. So that is one one rule which I would say, like, important for having a user for longer time. And also for LTV, I think second thing, like, customer always looks for premium services. So if we see, we provide, like, giving them benefits. For example, we give subscription models in the game, or we give events. We run events in weekends where users have a lot of time to play and see how game is performing. And then we also give reward system we implement. So few important things, like, having a subscription model in the game, or running events, and providing rewards again and again to the user to come back and play. And sending them push notifications that, hey, there is something new come up, you can unlock new train or new vehicle, anything which was in in-app purchases, but now we give it on weekends, saying that, hey, it's free, come and play. So that's how I think we increase the lifetime value. And also lifetime value, I think the complete ROI, if we talk, then it depends on the CLV of the user. So what daily active users, one have in the game. Suppose we have, say, 3 top games. One is having like 10 million DAUs per day. So we see that, okay, here, if I spend on user acquisition, I see, yeah, I'm getting ROI, because my LTV, which informs retention, and also I have re-engagement strategies to it. So I think the various methods which we followed, it brings a huge impact to the users, where they see, okay, this game is not just it is released and left. We also see that the reviews are most important things. There are a lot of devices in the market. Games doesn't perform well in all the devices. So there, we get through in reviews, we get through in consoles, dashboards, that, okay, this is not working in so and so devices. So we try to try to at least resolve it, that, okay, this should be playable in this device, because we have a lot of users who are using this particular device. So that's how it's always about what quality are we giving it to the user, so that he is always engaged, or else he is engaged for longer time. So that is one. And also I think the genre which we follow, for example, Ludo King, now it is a brand. I would say it's a brand, yes. So, but if I see, like, okay, it's a board game, but it is a brand right now. So we also see that which genre are we targeting, where we see long LTV, and what is our game lifetime, or what level, what size, what content are we giving so user play for more than 6 months or more than for an year. It should be a never ending. For example, if you take endless running games, they doesn't have any limitation. You keep on adding new features to it, you keep on updating the games with new features, new characters, or giving offers, running a different kind of events, like you have musical event, Halloween day, or very very, like it's not limited. I would say we have lot of scope in few genres. This is just an example I gave, like endless running, but there are a lot of genres where we see the scope is huge. For example, if you say arcade games like farming simulation games, even that genre got a lot of playtime. You see a user comes to a game and he stays for more than 20 minutes. The minimum time, I would say, like 20 minutes is a huge time, to have that ROI what we spend on UA. So we have different UA spend, like we spend for tier 1, it could be $1, or so we do measure that what LTV is giving us the ROI. If we spend $1, are we getting, say, into 2 or at least $1.8 out of one user? So that's how I think the customer lifetime value is very important for to scale the game, or to have organic users to the game, and also to sustain in the game, and to, yeah, I think that's how we see CLV for our games.
Correct. Interesting input indeed, because you mentioned about content playing a role in ensuring that customers do stick to your product for a long time. That brings me to Robbie. Robbie, I want to understand from your point of view, right? One is obviously how you are strategizing your CLV, practices. That's one. And secondly, also, how does, from your point of view, how does CLV exercises differ when it comes to targeted audiences for the different tiers, the tier 2s and the tier 3s, as compared to the tier 1s in this country? Robbie, your take.
Just a quick introduction, guys. My name is Robbie. I'm the founder and CEO of Super Gaming. Most people would know me from my previous company, which is June Gaming. Been around for about 13, 14 years in India. Built a studio from scratch in India, starting with when the phone first came out. Most of our audience is not India specific. We actually have about 400 million installs, of which 300 million are outside of India. That's kind of been our focus. Our vision, as a company, has been putting India on the global gaming map, so to say. That's the way that we've thought about it, mostly by kind of focusing on building game engine tools, by kind of building a tool that's now being used by many famous games, including Pac-Man. We've now built about 5 big games that involve shooting, racing, strategy. These games have kind of been homegrown, home published by us. Now we've grown to about 200 million users. To answer your questions on what we think about customer lifecycle value, our company's internal mission has always been build games that people play for years. As a small company, when we started out originally, our story is better known as 3 Guys, a Dog, and a Dream. That's kind of how we think about our company. We kind of said that, hey, we'll not kind of focus on, LTV, ROS. We don't understand all of these things. What we need to understand is how to create a great game experience. And I think that's kind of been critical in terms of thinking about it. But we also hacked our way in terms of saying that where is this market going to go? So we've actually been building real-time multiplayer games for over 7 years. Our first game that we did in the space was Ninja Dash, 25 million players, that kind of played it. What we kind of thought about it is saying that, hey, from an LTV perspective or a customer lifecycle value, if you get people to really like your game and play it for a really long time, they're going to give you enough money. That's kind of the base thesis that we started out with. In fact, we still have about 3% of our players playing after 3 years. We recently celebrated a player who's been playing our game for over 5 years. Now, a lot of people have not kind of played that kind of game for a really long time. And that's kind of something that we thought about. What we said is, hey, most of our growth in the initial days has been organic, significant retention post 30 days. But the mantra that we had was multiplayer. Rather than trying to build a content business, we felt like your friends or new players bringing in the content. We're never on a content treadmill. We're always improving, so to say, the quality of the game, rendering across multiple devices. But what we're doing essentially is your friends bring the fun. We've been proponents of this whole space, but just looking at our data and seeing that 15% of my daily active users don't even play a single game when they come back. They come out to hang with their friends, and they're kind of talking about like, "Ha, aaj exam bunk kiya, aaj mummy ne bahut mara." We have all these kind of funny stories inside of it, which kind of prompted our idea of kind of moving towards building super gaming as a platform that kind of engages more as games as a social network. I think most social networks are dead. Generation Z is only going to be playing games as their social network. That's really the space that we think that we're going to be in. Now, the other part of it is, thinking about today's attention economy, you're going to spend a lot of money to acquire users. Now, if you don't get the CPI LTV curve right, then you really don't have a business. Then you're not a business, then you're mostly a service that you're kind of trying to do. So games as service really works for us. But what we kind of think about is saying that, hey, we exist because we focus on that customer lifecycle value. We sell tangible items. We sell guns and cars in our games. So a couple of games, made $20-25 million. That's kind of the games that we've kind of sought to build. And we think that that's really the reason of focusing on customer lifecycle value, providing them with tangible items, getting them to play with their friends, getting them to invite their friends, which reduces your CPI costs. Getting them to kind of, your friends will invite you, clans will kind of keep you playing in the game, which increases your LTV. Those are kind of technical sections within the product that we kind of build within the engine itself. So today, all of our games use the same thing. That's kind of been our playbook in terms of CLV.
Great. That's a great point, actually, because that how CLV actually matters in terms of differentiating a product from a service, right? So, and this is product economy. Products thrive in this economy, right? So, having said that, I would want to come to Damini and understand from her point of view, right? And build on this point of product versus service, right? How does CLV matter to you in your genre or in your sector, and how do you see things growing towards the productization way, and how CLV is going to help?
I strongly believe that CLV is a very, very important metric for our gaming industry, because as they say, the more you focus on CLV, the more chances of becoming a success. And that's probably true for other industries as well. So in particular, if I focus on mobile gaming industry, I mean, you can see the steady and the strong growth that it has had over the past few years, especially during the pandemic, right? Where, games were literally used as stress busters. And like we were just talking of Ludo King, how it's become a brand. And I mean, it tenfolds, the downloads went. So, I mean, we saw a major increase in downloads too. And I think about a 45% year-on-year increase in game downloads was seen. So I feel that with such big numbers and such big surges in the industry, it's imperative to move with a plan, to know your CLV and to have a plan around it as to how you would engage your customers or even acquire new customers. I think it's very, very important. To remain ROI positive is like Vaishnavi was talking about it. I think it's a very, very important factor, because I mean, to reduce user acquisition cost and remain ROI positive is so important, because we all end up spending on acquiring users. So UA costs should be lesser, right? If I'm spending like $1 a game, a player, but spending $2 to acquire, I'm just suffering losses, right? I mean, $1 earning is nothing, so I might as well, not be doing this. So, and another thing I see is better targeting. With our CLV, we're able to sort of segment and cohort our players and are able to target them better with things like, the push notifications, emails, WhatsApp, and things like that. So basically, we are trying to target our audiences much more so that we can increase our LTV, because it's a very data-driven thing, and to see that the probability of a user spending, like a new user spending in a game, is 5 to 20%. whereas an existing user is 60 to 70% more likely to spend. So retaining users is something that's very important, and CLV, I think, is very important to, for us to know CLV. And you're talking about products, like we're also a very, data centric and product centric company, wherein we are very, vigilant about our reviews, about what our users want from us. And we like to work more like a, game service provider, rather than just, build a game and let people install it and that's about it. There are a lot of things behind it. There are a lot of things that you need to do to retain the players. So I feel knowing your CLV is most important.
Correct. That's a great input, actually, Damini. So this brings me to understand more from Clever Tap now, and I would want to come to Jasmeet here. So Jasmeet, we have heard people across sectors today. So we had Himanshu from a traditional publisher, to a new age gaming companies like Sony, Vaishnavi, Damini, as well as Robbie, talking about the importance of CLV and how CLV matters to their business, right? So in your experience of working closely with brands and helping them in their CLV journey, right? How do you see Clevertap helping all our partners here, and I know all our panelists here? And from your point of view, how can one differentiate and create a winning CLV story for themselves?
Good morning, everybody. And first of all, I would like to thank all the panelists for being here and giving us your time and valuable inputs. Actually, I'm very glad to be part of this panel because both gaming and news are very close to me. I spent about 6 months in China in 2006 creating a gaming platform. And I also was part of the startup team at rediff.com, which was into content. So I worked in both categories and I understand where they're coming from, more or less. Though, of course, times have changed a lot. And as all the panelists have rightly said, 2 or 3 things which have happened really. One is the surge in terms of users during these last 2 years have been phenomenal. Okay, so that basically brings a lot of positives, but of course it also brings its own shares of issues. The foremost being, from a CLV point of view, being the cost of user acquisition, because if you look at it, at the end of the day, there are only 2 or 3 places that you can go to acquire users in a big way. So, price discovery is not that great. So the cost has really, the demand supply situation is skewed towards, the supply side, and basically the cost of acquisition has really shot up. Therefore, it becomes very, very important for, platforms to keep a very close eye on how are they monetizing what we call is, the share of time. Because today share of wallet is the same as share of time, and there are so many options today, and particularly in gaming to start with, because casual gaming has is primarily downtime or fill up. So in that category there are so many options today, and as most of the panelists said, you have to basically focus on a genre and hope that you'll be able to draw a lot of people or users and make it sticky via either in-game features or the UI UX experience or making it social, etc., etc. So casual gaming as a category is now forced to innovate a lot to keep the users coming back and monetizing it better. Fortunately, all the panelists today and their businesses focus on bringing users back every day. So the frequency is high, and therefore, when the frequency is high, the marketing, the digital marketing strategy also is very different, rather than compared to say a fintech or an insurance business, where users use your product once in a while. And I think the delivery of the experience via, primarily a mobile gadget becomes primary for everybody. And I think that's where everybody is focusing. And like, Robbie said very correctly, focus on the long term, right? If your content and your product is great, in a very competitive category, you will get users to come back and use your product or service every day. And as far as I think, news category is concerned, the shelf life has become so, transient. It's no longer a 24-hour, deferred 24-hour news cycle. It is now every 15 minutes news cycle. So I have seen some of the people that we interact with in the content business, where they use story as an SKU. So they can actually engage with customers or users based on one single story topic, right? So you calculate cycles on those bases now. So it has become very fast-paced and it has become very competitive. Luckily for us as a platform, we've been able to work across categories, especially in gaming. We partner with very, very large platforms like MPL and Dream 11, etc. And we have helped them, increase their user engagement and retention, in double digits. And retention, as everybody is rightly pointing out, is very important because according to us, that's the new acquisition. If I can get more people to spend more time and more money, it's worth, in multiples over what you do to acquire new users. So I'm very excited to hear all these points. It's like music to our ears, and I'm looking forward to more insights from all of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Jasmeet. Thank you for taking us through the Clevertech journey and how Clevertech can actually become a growth partner for all our panelists here. So as we move towards the end part of the discussion, I'm sure we have just scratched the surface, and there is a huge sea out there to decipher better customer lifetime value. I would really want to come to Himanshu and understand from his perspective, right? Himanshu mentioned about being a traditional publisher, from the newspaper, moving on to the desktop, and going behind, the paywall, and now it's the age of mobile, right? So I wanted to understand from Himanshu, as a publisher, how does mobile feature in your overall retention policies, and how gung ho is Amar Ujala as a brand towards the platform?
Thanks, Satyajit. So interestingly, as we are Amar Ujala, and as I told that, like, we are one of the largest vernacular publishers. So most of our users come from tier 2, tier 3, and even tier 4 kind of towns. And obviously, there is no hardly any penetration of desktops and laptops. And particularly if I talk about the data, then easily we have more than 90% of our users regularly on mobile only. So mobile experience is very, very important for us. And the matrices that we have been always chasing is obviously growth is one of the important criteria, because when the whole market is growing, you need to keep on growing with the markets. We need to keep on increasing your overall funnel. So that's very important. But at the same time, as you need to keep on maturing those people from maybe a casual kind of a readers to more regular kind of readers, to more loyalists, to more brand lovers. So that's a typical value chain that we follow. And because as most of these customers are on mobile, so we are very, very particular about the formats in which we serve them this news and all. So there are some formats which are very, very popular for us. And on mobile, again, because the screen size is small, so people like to see more of audio visual rather reading. So that's the change that I've seen in the last 5 years, that people like to see and hear more rather reading. And but we understood all these nuances pretty early in the game. So we were having one of the most popular categories as photo stories, and so that's how it has really worked for us. And as I told you, ultimately, when it comes to content, so you have to create something that's of great value for them, because that's what they keep on coming back for. So if you are understanding your data, if you're looking at your data, if you understand their demographics, their geographic thing and all, so you keep on creating the things. Suppose there are so many things which are announced by the government. So those are of key interest or to our readers. Any government scheme coming up, Atal Pension Yojana coming up, or Kanya Samriddhi Dhan, all these kind of things. So these are hugely popular among our audiences and all. So anything to do with any kind of a job opening, particularly government jobs and all. So huge traction, because that's what youngsters are there. They're looking forward to their job and all. So if you want to keep on engaging with them, you need to keep on giving them what is priority for them. So we understand all those things. So data really helps us to make our priorities right. And obviously, one big challenge that we news as a industry face is a duopoly by Facebook and Google. So there is a huge dependency upon both the platforms for any kind of a news publisher, and it's completely dependent on their algorithms. So if Facebook decides to promote video, then suddenly those are like video days, and if they just suddenly decide that they're focusing on friends and family, then the whole algorithms changes, and you are just waiting for the traffic to come back. So yes, as a news publishers, we realize that it's very important for us to build our direct kind of a relationship with our users. And there are like various technology tools that we use, like as simple as browser notifications, so that help us to bring those users back as per their interest. So segmentation is something very important for us, because as I told you, like we deal with huge numbers. So there are like 6 to 7 million kind of daily active users that we have on our properties, and on a monthly number is exactly like almost 8 to 9 times of this. So yes, we keep on working on this ratio also, because we really strive hard to at least have this ratio north of 20%. That's very important for us. And so that we, as I told you, like we have to keep on converting from casual to ultimately to a brand lover. And for a brand lover, for us, is somebody who is visiting more than 15 times in a month. So that remains. And having said that, because of this whole Google algos and Facebook algos, so it is very important for us to also create some alternate revenue models, because the advertising definitely hits because of all these algo changes. So when we talk about the new business models, obviously it's a reader pay kind of mechanism. And as I told you, like a couple of years back, even just before the second wave, I think we had already launched our e-paper as a paid product. And there is a tremendous amount of work that happens on basis of data onto that on the e-paper front. So because again, retention becomes a very important factor over there, because cost of acquisition is big. And if you are looking at having a greater LTV kind of a situation, then you need to retain your more and more number of users. So a regular communication with them and understanding, and particularly before the dates when they are about to churn. So that's a very critical period, like initial at least those last 7 days. And if somebody churns out, then we have to bring him back. So we have to use various kind of tools to keep on engaging with those people. And obviously it's a long haul kind of a game for us as news guys. So as I told you during the introduction, also the whole UI and the UX part also plays great roles. And in today's industry, we have seen some great examples. There have been platforms like Milk Basket, who have really kind of disrupted the space just by the ease of the use kind of thing and all. So that's how we also try to keep on working alongside the community of our readers. We keep on learning from them, we keep on talking to them, and we always try to create something that is of real use for them. So that's how our journey is. And whole of the news industry, I can tell you, particularly the vernacular players like us, so they are on a journey from transforming themselves from I'll say like a drive-in hotel kind of a scenario to a fine dining kind of a restaurant. So because I think because right now traffic is just coming in through Google or through Facebook or through any other third-party channel apart from the whole organic and the direct traffic that we have. But ultimately, yes, we need to build those relationships with them, which is more direct and which is more long-term. So yes, this whole LTV theory is very, very important for any news publisher like us in these days. And all of us are striving very, very hard towards that goal.
That's a great example, from the dine into the the fine dine things.
But dive into a fine dining, yeah. So that's the kind of the journey actually we are kind of into right now.
That summarizes the CLV journey well for, I think, at least every business, right? Every growing business or every growing category as such. On that note, Robbie, I really want to come to you and understand, right? You mentioned that most of your consumers were outside India, right? Uh, so obviously, those markets were mobile first and mobile heavy markets, and mobile when it came to the mobile medium, they were the advanced stage of usage. You are just seeing some inroads in India as well. So how do you basically see the difference when it comes to customer retention on the mobile device when it comes to India vis-a-vis the advanced markets?
So high level, if you kind of see our journey, we've kind of been a educational games company to start with, did Y Combinator, kind of ran in the Silicon Valley till about 2015, understood really, how to kind of do premium games. So we did a bunch of work with very large IPs. That's kind of how we built our network and how we kind of educated our team to kind of build real games. What we learned really quickly in Western markets, and just by being there, is to kind of see the kind of growth that people were adapting to. Every kid was now born with an iPad in his hand. My kids have kind of been born that way as well. And what we kind of saw is this whole scale migration to gaming being natural on mobile devices, but also immersive gaming kind of. And what we're seeing now is that emerge in India largely because of three phases, which is, devices being everywhere, great internet connectivity, but also people being more comfortable doing digital payments. So what we've kind of taken is kind of built on our lessons from what we've learned in Western markets, but we're kind of applying them in India when we kind of bring in the same, so to say, lessons to apply in India, which is really saying, because internet connectivity was much better, people kind of adopted multiplayer games largely very fast. In India, that's the newest trend that we've now been seeing everywhere, and kind of doing really good real-time multiplayer games, shooting, racing, in which it's not turn-based, it's kind of, synchronous real-time is kind of something that we've kind of specialized in. Using that playbook, if you kind of think about it, we are games as a social network, we kind of think about how do you build stickiness into the product, which means a lot of our retention strategy is actually in terms of leading what is called product-led growth. If you see, we only believe future-wise, multiplayer, streaming are the key pillars on how we're building customer lifecycle value or retention into our product. We think of it as 3 or 4 distinct stages. You built a good game, but the first stage is because you need this liquidity of players or concurrency for people to play. People don't like to play against bots; they like to play against real players. So you really want to use what is called referral-led growth. If you have a great experience, you want to get people to give them tools to invite their friends so that they can all play together at the same time. You give them an incentive also to kind of invite their friends. So all of our new games allow you to spectate your friends while they're playing, which is kind of the standard trend these days. But you also can join your friends in playing in just one click. Now, when you bring in audio and video chat, so that allows you to the game is not a game now, it's a hangout. And what we've seen now is that, especially post-lockdown, is that the session lengths on our games have gone to 90 minutes, 120 minutes. These are crazy session lengths where people are just playing for a seriously long amount of time, because now the game is not just a game, it's a hangout. People are talking about everything else like they would do on a phone call, but they're also, the game is part of that entertainment. Towards the end of what we're seeing today from this life cycle is, hey, some people become really serious about this and they kind of become influencers in their community. They're hosting tournaments, they're streaming, they're becoming YouTube influencers as well. So we see that, hey, there's a lot of greater value of kind of being good at a game. So if it's a highly skill-based game, shooting, racing are skill-based games, you want to kind of see and drive value towards a player in that sense. And in those cases, these players are also spending a decent bit of money because they're actually showcasing the latest, greatest. They want to get more people to come to their streams. The product actually allows you to do giveaways, allows you to do PvP trading. So that's kind of something that we see definitely. One of the key things in our game is that we sell tangible items. which means that we monetize slightly better. If you're selling guns and cars, nobody's going to tell you no, because you can't really buy that in real life. So that's kind of something that's kind of been some of, so to say, the product choices, some of the retention theories that we've kind of brought in. We do weekly contests, giveaways, tournaments, in which people are actually showcasing their skill against other players as well. Initially, it's just for fun, but eventually it's kind of going to be more serious towards an esport-ish kind of genre, where we're differentiating our products. Like obviously everything that I've done is what a lot of other great companies around the world have done. But we've kind of said that, hey, what are stories from India? What is unique content that my team, being here, kind of brings to the fore? And that's really, so to say, some of the newest products that we're kind of bringing out. We're actually working on a large battle royale game, which comes out next year, which is really based on Indus, Indian mythology. The game's, code name is Indus. But that's kind of something that we're kind of thinking about when we're kind of building this retention strategy. Mostly product-led, but also kind of conscious choices in terms of all the features that you kind of bring in, getting people to experience those features and, so to say, grow from there. Like there was mentioned, Amplitude is kind of our lifecycle tool that we use for all of these. I was fortunate that, Amplitude, the team at Amplitude, the co-founder of Amplitude was actually my batchmate in Y Combinator. So kind of been on Amplitude for over 10 years. So that's kind of the product that we've kind of seen. And we're always looking for new products, kind of trying to figure out what to use to kind of improve, so to say, the lifecycle for all of our players.
Right. So basically, it clearly gives us an understanding of how it's important to innovate and important to always be on the toes to think over your CLV strategies, right? Before really, summarizing and coming towards the end of this chat and, understanding of what we have actually, discussed, I would really want to come to Sony and understand from her perspective the importance of mobile and importance of mobile as a platform, because we have seen Ludo King thrive on mobile handsets, right? So if you can briefly and quickly give us an understanding of how mobile has really played that role for you.
So as the number of active smartphones have increased, especially in the last year, where we are seeing that almost like kids or females, everybody is having a handset now. Now it's not just used for to call and all. People want to utilize it more and all. So yes, so since we have now more mobile phones, so we have got more gamers added. So this directly relates to ease of access to our games. Additionally, with the introduction of wallets, UPIs, it's become easy for players to enjoy making IPs at ease. So finally, players get gaming with ease. So moreover, features that are engaging along with the core loop of the game, that does play its part, but also local and push notifications additionally adds the flavor by getting inactive players back into the system or notifying players about sale or limited timed event and other aspects of game challenges. So all this help us to retain our users more and thereby increasing the LTV or CLV. So even right now, like our games is on mobile, but at the same time, Ludo King is also present on Android TV. It's on desktop. It's on Facebook Instant. So a player can connect with any of these mediums and they can, connect and play together. So yeah, good early retention is proof that the game is liked by the players and they are ready to try things in the game, and that can lead to longer retention. And we all know that in some time Google phone is going to come. So Google phone and Geo, they together will really help us to take this way forward. So yeah.
Correct. That's a great input, actually. So, as we move towards the end for this discussion, I really want to come to Jasmeet and understand from his point of view, how does ClearTap and basically CleverTap is looking at the future growth of CLV for businesses concerned, and especially their partner brands. Jasmeet, your take in some future gazing.
Yeah, so I think, see, at the end of the day, the fundamentals don't change, right? Businesses run on certain principles. I think what everybody has done is adapt to it in the new scenario. So, for example, segmentation is there, but it has now become hyper segmentation because you're talking about millions and millions of active users coming to your platform on a daily basis. How do you really know? How do you get to know these users is very important. How do you create cohorts within those segments? How do you actually, based on their user pattern or usage patterns and preferences, create communication and ultimately use the right channels to reach them with the right trigger to make them come back and spend more time on your product or platform. So I think that's where the science of it is going, and the art, of course, has changed from traditional forms to adapting into here and now. Okay, so we have seen some of those changes happen, and I think it's great to see that the new age, born in the cloud, born in the pandemic type of organizations are adapting to it today. Especially gaming category, as I said earlier, is highly competitive, and you have to really be experimenting almost every day to keep users coming back, change your business models or introduce new stuff to keep them engaged, like in-app purchase or brand placements, to now, of course, real money gaming. So the whole system has changed. So I think our challenge as a platform is to help our customers to understand these segments, at the same time create cohorts which talk to users in a very personalized manner. Because the moment you talk to them as a collective group of users, you lose that personal touch which is required, because that is what insight driven AI platforms like us can help you do. Of course, then the large part of the whole gaming or the whole marketing game is about preventing churn. So having predictive models based on user habits, based on user segmentation, to help you understand which user segments are or cohorts are likely to churn, helping you create campaigns for them, creating gamification as a tool, to induce users to come back all the time. So there are these new tools, and I'm sure all of us are aware that these are all work in progress. They keep evolving, and the best part about being in this new world is that you keep learning every day, and that keeps you going. So no product is ever finished, and no feature is ever brand new. It's brand new for a day maybe, and then you have to go back and think again. So yeah, those are the challenges, and they are the really exciting things that keep us coming back and help our customers to succeed every day. So thank you again for being here and sharing your time and insights with us.
Thank you, Jasmeet, and I think you summed it up well. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, today we have come to an end of an intriguing session where we actually took the help of our experts and tried to delve deep into understanding CLV better for especially the gaming ecosystem, as well as the news ecosystem that we had presents today in the panel. Thank you, my panelists. Thank you everyone for taking out time and helping us and helping our audiences and viewers understand the importance of CLV in the business lifetime and business life cycle. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and see you all on the next episode. Thank you so much.